into the race.
Yep. We'll pick up with those rows here in just a second. We're joined now by Juncos Hollinger Racing's Conor Daly. Conor, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Just a couple diabetic fellas having a great time here this morning.
Yeah, a couple type 1s having some breakfast in Gasoline Alley.
No sugar in here.
Conor, your first race in the 500 here with JHR, I know has sounded like you've been fairly happy with the development, the progress, the direction that you guys have had this month as you're coming into this race day here. I think you're 12th Indy 500. What are your feelings and thoughts like compared to some of the great cars you've had in the past?
Honestly, I mean, there's just been something about this month that's been really special, and I think Charlie knows it. Like when you have a car here where it's not as hard to do everything, and it's just purely fast. That's just something that I think you're very, very lucky to have. And our balance has been good. I think one thing that's been unique about this month so far is that cars can fall out of the window very quickly. So a 0.1 of a degree of front wing is off and your whole day is ruined. So it's very, very, very strange that I guess the window has narrowed a little bit, but we've been able to find the window, thankfully. So that's been helpful. But I'm very, very confident just in the pure speed of the car. And that's usually something that is you're trying to find all month long, and this car has it. So we'll obviously see what happens, but we're I'm certainly more confident than I've ever been in May.
When you've got that good a race car all month long, you talk about the narrow window. Are you concerned that you haven't spent a lot of time in weather conditions like this? Right? Do you think that window's going to get wider, or you're going to have to chase it all day long in a different direction?
Well, what I've found actually helpful for us is that even when it did get quite hot, that was actually when we were the best. So, like, I'm actually not upset about, like, if it does get sunnier, or which would be nice. I think the most interesting thing is that if people have trimmed, it's been very detrimental to them. And so and we've actually found that maybe a little bit more downforce has actually been helpful for us. And even if we're maybe over downforce compared to other cars, our car is fast enough to pull it. So that's nice. So I don't know. It's a very narrow window. I think you'll see some cars hating life about as soon as the race starts, and I think you could see some cars be really good at the end of the race all of a sudden. So it'll be very interesting.
You've made some incredible runs through the field over these last couple of years. If memory serves me right, you started 29th last year, finished 10th, biggest mover in the field. So you know how to work through the thick of the pack and factor in toward the top of the grid at the end. You're starting 11th today, qualified 13th. How much easier is your middle of the race when you are starting from essentially where you finished the race last year?
Well, I mean, it makes you be a little bit less desperate probably in the first two stints. I mean, there's a lot of good cars around us. There's also a lot of cars, to be honest, that are starting in front of us that may not actually be as good in race trim. And I think we've seen several cars that are just fast, but maybe not quite as good in the race. Even our pole sitter, incredible run, right? But he's never raced on an oval before, which is still wild. And he's a very good driver, but it doesn't matter how good you are. Racing on an oval is a totally new challenge. So, so that might mix it up for the first 2-3 stints, just because people are kind of figuring out what's going on, where they can be, and how good they are. But yeah, starting 11th is certainly way better than 29th, and I'm much happier to be where I am now. And maybe not just having to be as aggressive right out the gate.
Now, the Indy 500 is unique. It's the only race we start 3 wide. You're starting inside of row 4.
Middle.
Excuse me. My math's off.
That's all right. Yeah,
numbers
math is hard.
Yeah. Numbers are hard. You're starting in the middle. Do you have a preference? If you had a magic wand, you'd obviously start on pole.
Yep.
But if you're somewhere in that row 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, do you want to be on the inside? So you hold the inside through 1. Do you want to be on the outside so you can do the Conor around the top side? Or do you want to be in the middle so you let everyone fall off the sides?
I mean, honestly, I love the outside here. I mean, I think it's just so beneficial to go where there aren't cars, and only for a couple laps, but that's really where I'd like to be going to as fast as possible. But knowing that Alexander Rossi also starts right next to me on the outside, I know that's where he is going to be going as well. And Scott McLaughlin starts to my inside, and I know he's very aggressive and very fast as well. So our whole row might just be fighting for the same space, which is going to be very interesting.
How does that work when you have drivers on either side of you getting ready for the start of this race. Do you guys actually have conversations about the start just to make sure you all get through lap 1, turn 1 safely, or how does this work?
No. Yeah, I think, Scott and I were talking the other day because I think both of us kind of recognize who are in front of us, and there are some folks that I believe that, we can get in front of, I would say, because of our, I guess, oval aggression and oval experience. And, I would say even Christian Lundgaard, very good qualifying effort, but he struggled on the ovals the last couple of years, right? I think he's a very, very good driver, but it's one of those things where, you kind of see people like that and you're like, hey, we got to get in front of those guys. You know what I mean? Because I think we have a little bit more experience, maybe a little bit more pace on the race. But that's a very strong team, and he's a very good driver, so maybe he's figured it out as well.
So, last question. Goal to win the race.
Yep.
You win the race. Are we sending milk to the snake pit?
I'm gonna accept all the traditions right there in Victory Lane. Yeah, I think it would be awesome. That's our goal for sure, and I think we've got a great chance to do it today. But yeah, it's what an amazing month it's been, and it would be really nice to cap it off like that.
Every seat's sold out. 2016 is the last time we've done that. What have you felt being an Indiana native, a Hoosier at heart, born here, grew up around this place, lots of family connections. What have you felt from the fans and the city as we got ready for today's race day?
To be honest with you, this has been, I think, the wildest and coolest month of May that I've ever been a part of. The 100th was amazing and just historical, but this one, whether it's been practice days, whether it's been qualifying weekend, the weather has been awesome for qualifying. The weather is awesome this weekend. Everything about it has, I think, just brought bright smiles out of a lot of folks and brought people to the track. So this, I feel like, has been, and even Carb Day. I think the Carb Day crowd is, I don't know what the official numbers were, but that's got to be a record at some point. But everything about this month of May feels like the biggest one that I've ever been a part of. So it's pretty cool.
I want to ask you about the hybrid before we let you go here. First Indy 500 with the hybrid. We've seen a handful of accidents here in Fast Friday qualifying weekend, along with some interesting spins during these practices on Monday and Friday. How as you're envisioning this race, how is this hybrid, do you think, most impact how this race is run today?
Honestly, I think there's a lot we still don't really know. You can mess around in practice, but no one's really, like the traffic running in practice, there's always people not really doing everything that you're going to be doing in the race. Can you use it to attack? Yeah, but can someone else use it to defend? Yes, but the only way you'll really be out is if someone doesn't have any energy and you have a full battery. I think that could help, but the draft is still powerful too. So I think it's going to be, can the leader actually use it to hold off one straight? That will be the interesting thing. But the second place car is going to be able to lift and regen, and the first place car is going to be flat, so then he's going to have no energy down the next straight. So I think, let's say for the battle for the win, can you use it to actually defend when you need it to use it? Maybe. I don't know.
Lap 199. Coming across the front straight, do you want to be second going for first? Do you want to be first thinking you're going to get passed and passing back into three? If you think back to Pato and Joseph last year, what are you doing today in that situation? Where do you want to be?
You know what the interesting thing is I would almost say you want to bait the person into using all their energy down the back straight and take advantage of it out of 4. Because I think when the car has 0% energy, it's actually quite slow. So if you have a full battery and the draft, and I think you can get the job done before you even cross the start-finish line.
So
but that's a gamble.
Line.
That's a gamble. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm that good of a gambler. So I don't know if I'm going to make that choice.
Yeah. Do you think through that? Do you talk through that with your team, with your strategists, with your engineers, or is that something that really comes down to the moment and something you kind of just have to come from spur of the moment organically?
I think a lot of it's going to be spur of the moment. I think there's going to be so much. You get it with push to pass. Like sometimes you just have to use it to defend all of a sudden, and it's the same thing. We're using essentially push to pass to try to attack or defend, but there is an energy limit. So you will run out if you let's say you're using it all the way down the front straight, all the way down the back straight. Well, you won't have it until you cross the line again. You know what I mean? So there is a limit, and you have to be smart about using that.
Yep. All right, Conor Daly, driver of the number 76 Juncos Hollinger Racing AM PM Chevrolet. Thanks for joining us here on Pit Pass
Thank
Live.
you.
Thanks,
you.
Conor. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Conor. All right, let's get back to some of those rows toward the back of the field. Look at a little bit where things are. We talked a little bit through row 11, but I want to get to that a little bit more. So Joseph Newgarden, Will Power.